What's going on, world? It's your boy Steve Dab 317 back with another episode, back with another. I don't want to say it is a reaction video of sorts, but listen, I want to clarify some things. Some of the things that I've said, some of the things that other people said, some differences of opinions. But first and foremost, before I jump into this video, I just want to be transparent with you. If you are not willing to sit here and listen to this entire video, you may as well go ahead and cut it off now. Like, and I'm not going to be offended, you know, no love lost, but it's like, this is one of those things where some of the stuff I'm going to say, it's not going to resonate with you. You're not going to agree with it. But see, as you listen to the video and you hear more about the why behind some of it, it'll give you a better understanding. Still doesn't mean at the end you're going to agree, doesn't mean you're going to disagree. I don't know where you're going to be. That's not always my place in life, but I'm going to share something with you from my experience. My circle, my family, maybe people I've been around, experiences that I've had in life. So that being said, I want to say in a reaction video I did to Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, you know, I looked at it from both perspectives. If you haven't checked it out, I'll put a link. Where is it at? Over here, over there, whatever. I'll put a link up there so you can check out my reaction video to it, where I go through and I talk about how, you know, I was surprised at some of the things that Chris Rock did. I was surprised at some of the things that Will Smith did, and I also kind of mentioned how I would have done maybe the same thing or different from either of them. So start with Chris Rock, for example. He let another man slap him in the face. And, you know, as one of those things, I think my viewpoint on it goes back to what I was taught as a kid. You know, and I understand that some individuals have been taught differently, you know, and I'm okay with that, you know. And I don't criticize you for the way you do things. I just realize we look at things differently. So, like, in my mind, a grown man will never, ever walk up to me and put his hands on me, and I just stand there. Like, that's just not gonna happen. I don't care, and listen, I don't really care the reason, but definitely walking up and punching me, hitting me, slapping me, anything like that, and it has nothing to do with me being in front of however many thousands of people were in attendance or whatever it is. It's just one of those, like, the way I was taught growing up, like, I've got, like, a bubble, my personal space. And for the most part, when it comes to me, like, man, you can, now that I'm older and more mature, you can say a lot and it doesn't bother me. When I was younger, teens, 20s, I felt like I had a chip on my shoulder. I felt like I had something to prove. Even saying the wrong thing may get you smacked. You know, and I'm just being 100 with you, right? But, you know, I was kind of taught, like, you don't let a person put their hands on you. You know, my late great aunt Rhonda, you know, and that's one of the things that she really drilled into us. I'm gonna tell you something else that she taught me. If, let's say me and you are friends, right? And we like legit friends. Let's say we family, like we almost like family. We on YouTube together on a regular basis. Let's say we family. If a person off the streets, a random person, comes to me and tells me they don't like you or they want to go on about, the message I'm going to send them back is hitting them in their mouth. And you might be looking saying, why that doesn't make sense. It does make sense, because if me and you are family, or we're as tight as we're supposed to be, like if some outsider come over here talking slick, I'm going to do the same thing I would expect you to do for me. Right? Because if we truly that tight, you know what I mean? You shouldn't be allowing anybody to speak bad on my name and things like that. And again, I know some people are still watching thinking like, well, that still goes back to the, you know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Man, listen, here's the reality. Words do hurt. Sometimes on a emotional level, sometimes on a psychological level, like words hurt people, you know? And for people to feel like in life that they can say whatever they want to say and nothing should happen to them, all right, that's part of the reason why some people in this country act the way they act now, because they used to being around people where they get to say whatever they want to say. So reality is, every once in a while, somebody does need to get checked. Now, I'm not speaking specifically to the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing. I'm just saying people in general. We all know somebody who do way too much of this, or they get way too comfortable with some of the stuff they say. All right, you see it on especially the internet, on Facebook and stuff, and Instagram, and people get to the point where they feel like they're behind their computer, they're safe, and they can say some things, and they're throwing out words in derogatory terms towards whoever, And every once in a while, you'll catch a video where they run across the wrong person, they get checked for it. And I'm gonna be honest, I sit and I laugh, right? And it's not that I'm condoning violence, and I think violence is the answer to dealing with everything. That's not what I'm saying at all. Believe it or not, I am probably one of the most currently I am one of the most non-violent people you will probably ever meet in your life. Like I literally, people, they can say a lot within reason. They can do a lot. They can, I've gotten to a point in life where I realize a lot of stuff just isn't worth it. But I'm gonna tell you what is worth it. Me as a man of this household, protecting my wife, protecting my children, it'll always be worth it 1,000 times over. Right? I don't care what the situation is. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your background. I don't care. You can be it doesn't matter who you are. Don't matter what you got. Don't matter who you know. Don't matter what you own. Like, if you come into my space and you disrespect mine, bro, I'm gonna be to see you. Right? And that can be in a lot of different ways. But I will be to see you. And I'm willing to in the event that something like that happened, my well-being and my life becomes the least of my concerns. That's the clearest way I can put that without making it seem like I'm making a threat type video or anything like that. I don't think I'm the toughest person in the world, but like, my thing is, like, when it comes to fighting, you're gonna have to show me I can't fight. Like, it ain't gonna be enough for you to just sit here and like, you're gonna, if we get into an altercation, one of us are about to find out we can't fight. I don't know who it is, but I'm going all in. That just is what it is, So, and look, I know some people probably thinking I'm just rambling on. Listen, on my channel, I don't script out this stuff. I don't, even my reaction videos, everything is just in that moment. So right now I'm talking to you like we sitting here talking face to face, and I realize there's a lot of comments of people with different opinions. So like I said, I just want to clarify some things. So let's think about this. Why do I think the way that I think? All right. To some extent, we have to realize what we've been exposed to in life, what we've been subjected to, is going to have a lot to do with how we act, what we say, what we do, how we respond to various situations. So why? Well, I'm gonna speak for myself. Like I said, my family, people I'm close to. Why is it that when need be, we will pop off in a heartbeat? Well, let's think about it. You see, when you grow up in an inner city, and I know a lot of people who comment, I'm certain, or even who haven't commented, just a lot of people who will watch this video will not have grown up in the inner city the way I have, right? And things are a little bit different. And not saying they're better or worse in one place or another, or from one city to the next, but what I'm saying is, so sometimes when you're in the inner city school, you realize that what you have to stand on is your I want to say reputation, but not in terms of like you need to be somebody important, but just in terms of if you get labeled as a punk, you will be picked on for the rest of your life. For the rest of your entire life. You go back to like what they say in school, like if somebody hits you or put your hands on you or something like that, you go and tell the teacher. Here's the reality to that, and the different approach people take to bullying, which is unfortunate, but here's the reality to it. If you're in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever grade, and somebody come up, and we'll use this example, somebody comes up and slaps the mess out of you, and you go tell a teacher, right? Whether they try to suspend that student or not, keep in mind, these is oftentimes kids in your neighborhood, kids you still got to go to school with every day, kids you got to ride the bus home with, kids when you get off the bus that you still got to deal with. So while that school may think, oh, we're doing you a favor by telling you to come tell a teacher, and now the teacher punishes a person or puts them in detention, now you've been labeled. Once you get that label, I guarantee you for the rest of your school age, as long as you're still in that same school system and live in that same neighborhood, you're going to get punked. You're going to have people try to take advantage of you. You're going to have people try to take your lunch money. You're going to have people, just slap it. You know how you sit in the bus, you slap somebody in the back of their head. Like all type of nonsense. All because you weren't willing to stand up for yourself, right? All because you had that mindset of, oh, well, I'm just going to use my words, and violence is never the answer. Hey, to feel that way, I respect that viewpoint. But trust me when I tell you, when you see some of the stuff I've seen, right? When you grew up in some of the places that I've grown up in and seen some of the things that I've seen, you realize, well, you better learn how to be violent. You better learn how to turn up, or you ain't gonna make it. Those are facts. Those are big facts. You ain't gonna make it, right? So you get labeled if you go tell the teacher, the dean, the principal, whatever it is, right? And that carries on with you. On the other side of the coin, let's say instead of flight, you choose to fight. You get one or two outcomes from that. Either you go win a fight, right? Or at least have a good balanced fight, and you just gonna be labeled as a person who got hands. Oh man, he got hands, or she got hands, or whatever. Hey, y'all we ain't gonna mess with her, because they know any given moment you can pop off if you need to. Or worst case scenario, you take a L, and you get talked about for a minute, for like a week, and then somebody else will take a L or something like that, and people will be on to something different, right? It's been a lot. I mean, anybody who tells you they never taken an L and they've been in fights, they're probably lying or they're delusional, right? They're seeing stuff through their own lens, or they got some of those friends who after they take an L, they friends they like, hey man, you think I won? And they friends like, well, it was a tie, man, But anyways, listen, everybody's taking an L. It happens. You live to fight another day. At least that's short of people getting into the shooting and all that stuff. That's another video. But my thing is this. You got to realize, like, the environment that people are raised in sometimes can have a strong influence on how to react to situations. Because when it's all said and done with, more important than school, more important than great grades, more important than building a strong career, more important, right, is your well-being. Right? You've got to protect yourself, because when it's all said and done with, there's no amount of savings, investing, building, patience, whatever skill set you're trying to grow. There's no amount of it that has any importance I take that back. I won't say it doesn't have any importance, but none of those things are going to be relevant to you if you're dead, if you're no longer here, right? So you have to learn how to protect yourself. And it's unfortunate some people never pick that up, and sometimes they end up in some funky situations, partially because they let people run over them. I also want to talk about that in terms of toughness that you pick up on the streets and translating that into business toughness and not being punked in like the boardrooms and stuff like that. But this might be a longer video than I thought it was going to be. So, inner city, right? You can't have that quote-unquote punk label, which deep down I really hate that, because it seems to be a word that's only used in predominantly lower income communities, and I could be very wrong. I didn't grow up in Carmel or Fishers or Noblesville or anything like that. All right, I didn't go past 96th Street for most of my life for obvious reasons. You know what I mean? But it seems like that's something that people are more concerned about here in the inner city than farther up north. But so you look at things like that, and then even going back farther than that, looking at my parents or my aunt or my grandparents, like why was it so important to them that they taught us to stand up for ourselves? Because see, they grew up in a transitional phase, transitional period in life where there was still a lot of crap you had to deal with. There was still a lot of segregation. Definitely going back to the grandparents, there was still a lot of blatant racism. There's still a lot of injustice, right? Based solely on race or predominantly on race. I'm sure lack of income has something to do with it also. And listen, those things still exist. I don't think it's as blatantly obvious now as it was back then. I think it's a lot more saving face going on than it was back then. But at the same time, like, what happens if, let's say you're a young man, let's say you're a teenage guy, right, and you're walking home from school, and all of a sudden this pickup truck pulls up next to you, and they on some other miscellaneous stuff, and it's just you walking with your two sisters. What do you do there? All right? Or what do you do when you're out jogging? Okay, here's one. Let's go hit home. What do you do when you're out jogging in this current era, and somebody randomly jumps out on you with a shotgun? Right? What words can you possibly say at that moment that are going to help? Right? Fight or flight. All you can even attempt to do in that moment is fight for your life. So just imagine being a person who didn't even have that in them. You see what I'm saying? So when y'all say violence is never the way, violence is never the answer, you'll be surprised. You know, there's a saying that in oddly it kind of contradicts itself, but it says only fools speak in absolutes, right? You know that saying is saying only a foolish person would say this is always the case or that's always the case, or you know, because every situation, every scenario is different. And that's the thing a lot of people don't realize. Like every situation, every scenario is different. Just because you was raised in a certain place and you were taught to do things a certain way, I don't judge you or criticize you for that. That's your thing. But if I do stuff differently, is it truly your place to judge or criticize me or anybody else without fully understanding? Let's think about that for a minute. Think about it. You know, so like, in fact, in life, when is it, as humans, when is it our place to pass judgment on others anyways? Right? I think sometimes we lose sight of the very first rule, and that being to love others. Right? And I know the first thing you're thinking right now is, well, Steve, Dad, how could you sit up here and talk about the first rule we're called to love others, but you're also talking about violence? Yeah, I did say both, but here's the thing. I've got to protect myself the best way I know how. Just as much as you protect yourself the best way you know how. So you make decisions based off your upbringing, based off your experience, as do I. Right? So let's go back farther than my parents and further than my grandparents. Right? Let's go back let's go back 500 years. Right? Let's go back and talk about slavery a bit. Okay. So, you know, in those times, life was very much survival of the fittest. Right? Well, think about it. Think about it. There wasn't much given, right? A little bit you had. Well, just imagine if you and I, whoever you are, imagine you and I were both slaves. Right? You get, let's say, a ration a day or however often they got fed. I don't know. Right? And I go over and I reach over and I snatch your food from you. And all of a sudden you got nothing to eat. And you know there will not be another meal till the next day. Are we going to talk? Are you going to talk to me about it? Are you going to use your words? Are you going to sit there and say violence is not the way? Or are you going to adapt a survival of the fittest mindset? All right. And again, this is just something to think about. Don't look at this as an excuse or me justifying anybody's behavior when it comes to violence. But it's my way of letting you know that the way you were raised isn't the same way everybody else was raised. I see a lot of different things. Like me, I'm pretty much a chill person. Like I pop off if I felt like my family is threatened, or if I feel like somebody's putting me in a situation where I need to defend myself. All right, but I know some people who like I got some people I can call on my phone right now, and they amped up, ready to go, locked and loaded, just always amped up. You know what I mean? And I was probably like that when I was like in my 20s or something. But you know, my hope is that people would kind of grow out of that. You know, that's not always the case, but all this to say, like, don't be so quick, and this goes for me as well. None of us should be so quick to judge a person or their actions without at least taking the time to try to understand where that person is coming from. That's the point I was trying to make with my last video. Like, do I feel like Will Smith was... Here's the thing. Do I feel like Will Smith was wrong? Yeah. Do I feel like Will Smith did the right thing? Yeah. Right? And it doesn't mean I'm torn or I'm confused or I don't really know what I want to think. That just means that I can step back and set my emotions aside for a moment. And I can look at things from both perspectives. I can look at that situation and say, from the perspective of somebody who says, you know what, violence is not the answer. And I totally get it. And I can agree with it. Like, yeah, I'm with that. I get it. But I can also turn and I can look at it from a situation or from the perspective of a person who said, you don't let another person, period, sit there and disrespect your wife, especially not in front of you. I can look at it from that perspective and be like, yeah, I can feel that. And I can agree with that too. You see what I'm saying? Even on Chris Rock's end, I can look at it from the standpoint of, like I said, the way I was raised up, and when I tell it, you don't let anybody put their hands on you, period. You definitely don't let it happen. You stand there and do nothing. I can look at it from that perspective. Likewise, I can look at this and be like, you know what? Maybe Chris Rock looked at it from a professional standpoint. Maybe he looked at it and said, you know what? One, violence is not the answer. I'm on a public stage in front of thousands of people and hundreds of thousands of people walking at home. Somebody has to be an example. All right? Somebody has to be an example. Somebody has to take into consideration, how are other people, how are other cultures going to look at us? Right? Two black males out here, quote unquote, acting a fool, as some people would deem it. Right? If I get up here and start swinging with Will Smith, we rolling around the stage or ripping up clothes, what does the Oscars committee, or however that works, what do they think about us, right? What type of conversation do they have behind closed doors, right? Which I'm sure there's conversations anyway, whatever is or isn't said, neither here nor there. All right, so there's a lot of different ways of looking at things, and that's what I encourage you to do. Same thing I encourage myself to do. Like, don't just get so set in, I believe this is the way and this is the only way. Like, you're not Mando. You're not the Mandalorian. This is the way, for those who don't know. Anyways, my Star Wars fans, you got that. But don't get so stuck in feeling like your way is the only way without taking the time to look at things from other perspectives. And like I said at the beginning of this video, you may look at another perspective and think about it and try to understand it and just get to a point where you're like, nah, that still don't make sense. Violence is not the answer. I want to turn the other cheek. No pun intended. Or you may be on the other side. Likewise, consider maybe violence is not the answer. Maybe you do need to be, and I guess it's one of those things. Just open your eyes. Like, don't allow yourself to just be typecasted into one thought process. When it's all said and done, we're going to be who we are. We're all different. I get that. The decisions that I make, some of them maybe people will consider great. I'm sure there's some decisions I make that people will think are horrible. I'm a human. We're all human. None of us gets it perfect all the time. We will make mistakes. All we can do is try our best to live our life. Hopefully, we're all trying to live a worthwhile, fulfilling life. Hopefully, we try to be kind to others. Let me say that again. Hopefully, we are all trying to be kind to others. And hopefully, those others don't get so comfortable feeling like they can say whatever they want to say, whenever they want to say it, and they force their hand up against you. Take it for what it's worth. Anyway, Steve Dab 317. If you tune in the entire time, hey, share your thoughts down below. I appreciate you. Like I said, this wasn't scripted. If it seemed like it was rambling, it's because I'm just sitting here having a conversation with you, sharing some of my thoughts, some of my views, some of my opinions. But for now, I am signing out, and I wonder how long this video is. I don't have a video playing in the background, so I have no idea. But that's it. Peace.